Good afternoon, distinguished guests, fellow veterans, family, and friends. I am Lieutenant Colonel Margaret Aquilla Watkins Stanfield. I'm from Milton, North Carolina. I was commissioned as a first lieutenant June the 10th, 1969. 18 months later, I became captain in 1971. 1978 in September, I was up to major. September 1986, I was pinned as a lieutenant colonel. I completed basic officer training at Kirtland Air Force Base, Albuquerque, New Mexico, where there was sometimes we were marching and training, and the heat was 106 degrees, hot sun, and we were marching with those ROTCs, and those guys just about march all over you, but you just kept marching. And the commander yelled out, "Left phase," and when he said left phase, I turned right. So the one officer tipped up to me and said, "Captain, put this rock in your left hand." And so, I was marching then, doing great. And all of a sudden, when he said right phase, I turned left. I thought about my rock. And when I turned left, the colonel out there said, "Captain, you need another rock?" I said, "No." And then I thought I'm yelling at a bird colonel. So I said, "No, sir, no, sir." But we marched, and thank God afterward the marching was over. I served also in Fort Sam Houston when I went to my training for the Command Staff College. I also went to Fort Sam Houston and took my AMED courses. I served as a staff nurse, head nurse, retention officer for the non-commissioned officer, area coordinator, assistant chief nurse at the 2290 USA Army Hospital at Walter Reed Medical Center. My military honor, decoration, and medal included the Army Service Ribbon, National Defense Ribbon, and Army Service Component Achievement with 2 Oak Cluster Leaf Army Force Medal, 2 Army Achievement Medals of the Army Commandant Medal, a Certificate of Appreciation of Service and Outstanding Performance from President George Bush. Also, the commander of the U.S. Army Hospital pinned me with the Commandment Order, and also a Certificate of Outstanding Service from Brigadier General Clara Adams Ender. During my career, I was assigned to Indian Gap. Going to Indian Gap, there was a lieutenant, First Lieutenant Margaret A. Stanfield. My name, Margaret A. Stanfield. Do you know they sent me her orders when she was on her way to Tokyo? And I sent her to Indian Gap. Oh my gosh. When the colonel called me and said, "Lieutenant," I said, "Yes, sir. Did you get your mail?" I said, "No." He said, "You know you're going to Tokyo." I said, "What? My first assignment, and I'm going to Tokyo? I know nothing about the Army, can't march." So, anyway, I got the general at the First Army corrected the orders, and I got my orders, and I went to Indian Gap, Pennsylvania. You know, when I got to Indian Gap, Pennsylvania, well, you know, I'm just a little junior officer, and there was majors, there was colonels and captains, and you know, I was just a little first lieutenant. They paid me no attention, you know. And when I walked in the mess hall for lunch, I know I'm not supposed to sit with enlisted men, so I looked around. I didn't see none of my friends, so I went and sit at this table with a white tablecloth all decorated, and I knew that was for the officers, so I sit down. Do you know I was sitting at the general table? But I said, "Aquilla, your mama trained you table manners, and you can do it." So I sit there with the general, and so the colonel came in. He said, "General, this is Lieutenant Stanfield. You know they was sending her to Tokyo." He said, "Oh, Tokyo Rose?" But thank God I did not go to Tokyo. You know, I was at Indian Gap, Pennsylvania. There was First Army set up a hospital for us, for the guys that was ROTCs that was at Virginia State, Hampton, and also Howard. And you know, those little boys did well in the classroom. But in the field was too much. They would try to jump, fall, and hurt themselves so they could get out. And I guess about 5 or 6 of those guys ate dial soap. Would you believe that? But it didn't kill them. But blood pressure was sky high, and we had to take blood pressures every hour, every 2 hours. But we made it, And those little fellows, some of them had to go back to their school duty because they could not go to the Army. But then there was other made it through. I also was working in the emergency at Camp Drum, Indian Gap, Pennsylvania, Fort Dix, New Jersey. Fort Dix, New Jersey was the point where they sent the guys overseas to Vietnam. That was during the Vietnam crisis. Do you know this little fella fell down 4 flights of steps one night to keep him going to Vietnam? But he didn't injure himself that bad because they put him on the plane the next morning and sent him right to Vietnam. I was praying for that child because I said he's here without his mother, But anyway, he made it. I also worked at Fort Meade, Maryland, and Camp Drum, New York. Camp Drum, New York was cold, and we went up there with Bermudas and shorts to take our PT test. We had to go out and buy some jogging suits because it was so cold there. I provided nursing at Vietnam. My last tour of duty was at Walter Reed during Desert Storm. I worked with male and female wounded warriors and their dependents. This soldier was fixing to go to surgery, and she was really upset, and she had some problem at home, and she had talked with me. And I said, "You're going to be all right." And I shared my favorite Bible verse. "I will lift up thine eyes unto the hill, which cometh my help cometh from the Lord and heaven and earth." And so she went to surgery, and when the lady came from her anesthesia, she was saying, "I know I'm going to be all right because God going to take care of me." The nurse that was helping us said, "Oh, Lord, that's some of Stanfield religious stuff." For my accomplishments, of course, I credit God first, my family, Caswell County High School, the principal, the late Mr. N.L. Dillard, and teachers, the chief nurse, director of Lincoln Hospital School of Nursing, and also the friends and staff. I honor and memories of my parents, the late Ms. Maggie L. and Sterling Wyken of Middleton, North Carolina. After 23 years in the military, my retirement ceremony was given to me, 2, one from the Walter Reed, my co-workers, and from the 2290 gave me a program at Walter Reed. The second was my friends and family members of Ward Memorial AME Church at Bowling Air Force Base Office Club.